Opolo will also be joined by other colleagues as the meeting progresses. Minister, I'd like to call you to read our statement, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Crispy. And good afternoon to all members of the media and the DDG who is already here. We will like to take this opportunity to start by paying a tribute to the late Ambassador Mahlangu, who was serving as South Africa's High Commissioner to was also accredited to Somalia. He was born on the 8th of October 1952 in Stiefchwete local municipality, the then Middelburg municipality. His journey began as a student activist, and he went on to play a pivotal role in shaping a new democratic South Africa. He was part of a group that drafted the country's post-apartheid constitution and was elected to the first democratic parliament in 1994. His service continued as a deputy chairperson and later as a chairperson of the National Council of Provinces. His legacy is one of unwavering dedication and love for his country. The late Ambassador Mahlangu was a true patriot whose love for our country shone through in the manner in which he went about executing our foreign policy. We extend our heartfelt condolences to the late Ambassador Mahlangu's family, friends, and colleagues who worked alongside him. May his memory be a source of comfort during this difficult time. His loss is deeply felt by all who knew him and by the nation he served faithfully. I will now go to the strengthening of regional integration and leadership in Southern Africa. South Africa's leadership role in the Southern African Development Community has been significantly reaffirmed with this election as the incoming deputy chair of the SADC Troika during the 45th Ordinary Summit of the Heads of State and Government held on the 17th of August 2025 in Antananarivo in Madagascar. With Madagascar assuming the chairship, South Africa is now positioned to chair the organization from August 2026. This election, alongside the chairship of the Southern African Customs Union, provide a strong platform for South Africa to drive the SADC regional integration agenda forward, particularly in the areas of economic and trade cooperation. The 45th SADC Summit addressed a range of critical issues, including political and security stability, resource mobilization, infrastructure development, industrialization, food security, health, and gender mainstreaming. At the summit, South Africa signed 4 legal instruments to strengthen human rights, harmonize industrial policies, improve data integrity, and deepen cooperation in the tourism sector. South Africa continues to closely monitor and engage on the security situation in the various regions of the continent. A delegation led by the Deputy Director General for Africa, Ambassador Tebogosi Opolo, recently visited Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger to gain first-hand insights into the dynamics in the Sahel region, a critical step in informing our ongoing diplomatic efforts. Once his full report has been comprehensively engaged within government, we will announce further measures in this regard. In the Great Lakes region, South Africa remains gravely concerned about the humanitarian and the security situation in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Despite peace agreement, fighting between the M23 rebel groups and the DRC armed forces persists. South Africa welcomes international efforts but emphasizes that a sustainable solution must be African-led and inclusive of all local actors. South Africa continues to contribute military personnel and equipment to the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the DRC, well known as MONUSCO, particularly the Force Intervention Brigade, in support of the DRC's efforts to achieve stability and reconstruction. South Africa is also actively involved in the African Union High-Level Ad Hoc Committee on South Sudan, a body we chair, we reiterate our call on all South Sudanese stakeholders to fully and effectively implement the revitalized peace agreement on the resolution of conflict in the Republic of South Sudan to bring an end to the suffering of the civilian population and to take South Sudan to its first democratic elections. South Africa is extremely troubled to witness the devastating and wanton fighting in the Republic of Sudan. This conflict comes at a time when the region's security situation is deteriorating. The signing of political framework agreement between the civilian political forces and the military institution in Sudan on the 5th of December 2022 was a first critical step towards the formation of a civilian-led transitional government. The deterioration of the security and the humanitarian situation is regrettable. As a matter of urgency, there must be unconditional cessation of hostilities, which will be the first step to a comprehensive response to the humanitarian crisis that is currently unfolding in Sudan. With regards to cultivating strategic bilateral and multilateral partnerships, despite existing challenges, South Africa maintains robust and cordial relations with key global partners. The United States of America, South Africa and the United States continue to engage at the highest level, as evidenced by the recent teleconference between President Ramaphosa and President Trump. While discussions on issues such as the 30% unilateral trade tariffs imposed by the US highlight areas of concern, the bilateral relationship remains resilient and continuing in terms of engagements. We continue to hold several strategic meetings at various political and government levels, including recent meetings that were held by the Charge d'Affaires of the US, Mr. David Green, with myself, and our various ministers in government. Deputy Minister Boots and his counterpart, the Deputy Secretary of State, Mr. Christopher Landau, also engaged via a video conference recently discussing matters of mutual concern, including trade, geopolitical issues, and domestic matters. These engagements are ongoing, and later this week, we will be hosting a US congressional staff delegations from the House of Foreign Affairs Committee. As you are aware, I also had engagements with Mr. Bulow, President Trump's advisor on the African continent, on domestic matters ranging from broad-based Black economic empowerment, the Expropriation Act. We continue to reiterate that these are matters which are firmly within the grasp of the South African people and its sovereignty. Furthermore, in relation to the assertion of human rights violation as contained in the latest US Human Rights Report 2024, we reiterate that the allegations of state-sponsored violations of human rights are not factual. As highlighted previously, according to the South African Police Service's official statistics on rural safety for the fourth quarter of 2024-2025 financial year, 1 January 2025 to 31 March 2025, a total of 6 murder cases were reported in farming communities. A breakdown of the victims reveals that these crimes are not targeted against a single racial group. For example, 3 victims were employees in the farm, 1 victim was a farm dweller, and 2 victims were farmers. And you know the racial profiles of this type of victims. We know that most of the employees in the farm areas are Black, and most of the farm dwellers are also usually Black. The 2 victims who were farmers, you also know they are usually white in South Africa. These figures underscore that violent crime in rural areas affects everyone who lives and works on farms and related rural areas. While the loss of any life is a tragedy, these statistics do not reveal a pattern of action driven by inflammatory racial rhetoric against a specific community, or that it is racially motivated. These statistics are continuously being reviewed every quarter with inputs from all the stakeholders in rural safety landscape. Engagements with the European leaders. President Ramaphosa recently held a teleconference with President Zelensky of Ukraine President Emmanuel Macron of France, and President Alexander Stubb of Finland. Additional calls with other European leaders will follow in coming days and weeks to discuss key international developments, including the ongoing situation in Ukraine and Russia. The Director General of the department, Mr. Zen Dengo, has been in Kiev recently to meet with the different actors in government, including in the foreign ministry and national security structures, towards efforts to sustain South Africa's support for the peace initiative and also the Africa initiatives and all global efforts aimed at finding long-lasting peace in this conflict. Middle East and Asia. South Africa reiterates its calls for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The continued killing of Palestinians has risen exponentially, and we maintain that a ceasefire is necessary to halt the humanitarian crisis. A joint report by a 4-member of the United Nations agency has confirmed our worst fears that failure to implement the provisional measures or a ceasefire obtained by South Africa in the International Court of Justice has led to a man-made famine. The means necessary to sustain life in Gaza is being destroyed, which is further evidence of genocidal intent. As the South African government, we call for the Israel government to accept the current ceasefire on the table that has been negotiated by all the relevant stakeholders. We reiterate our call for the release of all hostages and political prisoners from both sides. We continue to welcome global efforts to ensure the implementation of international law. These include initiatives such as the Madrid Group and the Hague Group, which we lead recently in Bogota, with 30 cross-regional countries participating, which we're co-chairing with Colombia. The Deputy Minister, Thandi Moraka, and the Director General recently concluded working visits to the Middle East, and the Deputy Minister visited the Kingdom of Jordan and the United Arab Emirates, while the Director General has also concluded a working visit to Qatar to consult on bilateral and regional peace and security issues. Japan, TICAD. President Ramaphosa led a high-level delegation to the 9th Tokyo International Conference on the Development in Africa and Japan. The summit's theme, co-creating innovative solutions with Africa, aligned with South Africa's vision for a continent seeking partnerships, not aid. President Ramaphosa urged Japan to support tariff cooperation for Africa goods and emphasized the need for partnerships in infrastructure, energy, digital development, skills training, and youth innovation. The successful business forum and high-level meetings with major Japanese corporations, including Mitsubishi Heavy Industries and Toyota Tsusho, signal strong and positive Japanese economic interest in South Africa. Approximately 200 South African companies participated and the Japanese companies participated in the economic theme side events held on the margins of the summit. These represent very strong and positive signal of economic and trade investments in South Africa. Japan remains one of the highest investors in the South African economy, and we commend its innovative approach to partnerships of equals with the African continent. South Africa will continue to leverage its diplomatic influence to advance national interests, contribute to regional and continental stability, and build a more just and a prosperous world. South Africa's G20 presidency has entered its last 100 days. These past 8 months have seen significant work being undertaken in both the Sherpa and the finance track, with 87 of the 132 officials meetings on the calendar already having taken place. South Africa is well on its way in preparations towards hosting a successful G20 summit for the first time on the African soil. And we want to commend all government departments and the private sector that hosted some of these very successful meetings across the country. 87 meetings is no child's play, and all of them have been incident-free, and they have happened across the breadth of the country, which has also showcased some of our very good and beautiful tourist destinations. But there's also been decisions. Currently, only G20 working groups assist with negotiations on ministerial declarations and outcomes. Under the Shepherd track, two G20 working groups have already successfully adopted G20 ministerial declarations: the Development Working Group and the Employment Working Group. These outcomes were adopted on the 25th of July 2025 and 31 July 2025, respectively. The next round of ministerial meetings will take place in September 2025. Under the finance track, the fourth G20 Finance and Central Bank Deputies meeting took place on the 14th to the 15th of July, followed by the third G20 Finance Ministers and Central Bank Governors meeting that took place on the 17th and 18th July 2025 in Durban, South Africa. The Finance Ministers meetings outcomes were agreed in a communique consented to all member states that centers on strategic microeconomic issues. South Africa's G20 presidency has also entered its most crucial phase with the preparations towards the G20 Leaders Summit. The negotiations taking place for the working group ministerial meetings will set the tone for the forthcoming discussions on the G20 Johannesburg Leaders Declaration. Furthermore, preparations are underway for several key meetings still to be hosted, including the G20 Compact with Africa to take place in Johannesburg, South Africa in early October 2025. Food and security meeting taking place in Cairo in Egypt in September 2025. This is in line with South Africa's undertaking to spread some of this meeting to the continent, and we're glad that Egypt has agreed to host one of the meetings. There's also a meeting on industrialization and agriculture in Abuja, in Nigeria, in October 2025. Again, we also thank Nigeria for agreeing to host one of these meetings. This shows our commitment to ensure that the African voice is heard and does play a role in the hosting of the G20. The second G20 Foreign Ministers meeting is scheduled to take place on the 25th September on the margins of the UNGA 80 High-Level Week in New York at the United Nations headquarters. The second G20 Foreign Ministers meeting is significant in that it will be the second time that a G20 Foreign Ministers meeting will be hosted at the UN, with all UN members and observer states invited, following Brazil's initiative last year, and as the United Nations celebrates the 80th anniversary of its existence. As the premier forum for international economic cooperation, the G20 has a pivotal role to play in contributing to UN efforts aimed at creating an economically prosperous world that contributes towards the sustenance of global peace. It is only when the world is at peace that economic prosperity can be sustained. Regarding the G20 Social Summit, preparations are underway to ensure the G20 Social Summit is successful, with wide attendance and participation from civil society. The Social Summit, scheduled for 18 to 20 November 2025, is one of the key highlights under South Africa's presidency by expanding outreach to communities beyond 13 G20 engagement groups. Civil society organizations, think tanks, and academia from across the world will be invited to join the second G20 Social Summit. Finally, these final months of South Africa's G20 presidency will be crucial in ensuring a successful Leaders Summit where the G20 can commit to collective solutions for shared global challenges. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. See, the hands are already going up. That's a good sign. We are also joined by our UN political desk expert. Zahir, you're not an advocate yet. Is Mr. Zahila here? Okay. Let's take the hands in the room. Let's start from the back. Zoleka, right? Zoleka, Muloto, Ms. Payton, Clement, and let's end here. Then we'll start the new row there.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry. Minister, good afternoon. My name is Zoleka Kotashe from Newsroom Africa. Minister, you mentioned that the relations between South Africa and the United States are quite strong still at the moment, despite the 30% tariff hikes that we've been hit with. Excuse me. But there are reports of the SWIFT international banking system and South Africa being cut from it. Of course, this affects South Africa's ability to pay its creditors. What impact do you think this will have on South Africa? Is there any truth to those reports? As well as if you could answer about what South Africa plans to do about this in light of the recent relations between South Africa and the United States, and if you believe that this is the United States kind of skinning a cat in different ways. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Moloko Moloto from ENCA. Minister, since his appointment as the president's envoy in April, if memory serves me well, are you able to perhaps give us just an idea of the work that Mr. Mcebisi Jonas has done? But also, has he ever been to the United States? Was he granted a visa? And considering the recent developments with the United States Justice Department essentially accusing MTN, a company that Mr. Jonas chairs, is government still of the view that Mr. Mcebisi Jonas is the right person to at least facilitate relations between Pretoria and Washington, or are you open perhaps to considering someone else? But also, lastly, the last remarks by the US president in regard to the G20, he was saying that he's not sure whether he will come here or not. Are you perhaps aware as to whether there has been development in that regard? But what about the Chinese president? Will he be coming for the G20?
Hello, Minister Nellie Payton from Reuters. I wanted to ask if you can tell us anything else about the U.S. congressional staff delegation that will be visiting this week. Is that related to the bill in Congress, the bill that the House of Foreign Affairs Committee has put forward about resetting relations with South Africa? And can you tell us anything about the goal of that congressional visit? Thanks.
Yes, hello. Clement from AFP News Agency. Also a question about the talks with the US. I'm particularly interested in the NDA part. Is it common practice for two sovereign states to have to sign an NDA to engage into diplomatic and commercial talks? What does this NDA cover? And do you have knowledge of other Western or Northern Hemisphere countries having to sign that sort of NDA?
Just want to switch on your mic so that all the colleagues.
Thanks. Gert van der Westhuizen from Network 24, Minister. Did the utterances of the Chief of the Defense Force in Iran, was that discussed during the negotiations with the Americans? And did it have any impact on the negotiations? And then just a second question, please. How can international law ever be re-established after Israel just ignored the International Court of Justice several times in the past few months?
Colleagues, do you mind if the minister answers from there, or would it affect your microphone? Must he come here? Okay, Minister. Some difficult questions for you.
Yeah, no, obviously I can't answer all of them. I believe he will be able to assist and some of them that you may want to engage on. Yeah, with regards to the SWIFT international banking system, at this stage, we do not have any non-verbal notifying the South African government that we will be switched off from the SWIFT system. I've seen from an article or a newspaper report about this, which seems to have emerged from the what is currently the ongoing justice committee investigation. So it's a speculation by the article, and so there is no such intention that we have received from our side, and we treat it as a speculation at this moment, which is not backed by any action to that effect. The bills that are before the US Congress and so forth, they will take a life of their own. In the past, most of them did not reach the final stage and so forth. So we don't know whether these ones will reach a particular stage. So we really obviously continue to monitor that process. But there is nothing that has notified the South African government about switching off the South African government from the SWIFT system. With regards to the issue of the special envoy, yes, he has been doing some work, and it's correct, he has not been to the US at this stage, but he has been doing some work. You have also seen him at the G7 with the president. He has also engaged with various stakeholders on the approach and also on the issues in the background. Whether we are, the South African government is considering someone else at this stage, no, for the role of the special envoy, no. As you will know, the role of a special envoy is not permanent, it's a temporary process. What we are currently considering, and almost at an advanced stage, is the appointment of a permanent ambassador, and that will be done soon. So that is what is currently on the table. Whether President Trump will come to the G20 or not, the last communication we had with him, he had confirmed that he will come when President Ramaphosa was at the White House. We have, however, noted and taken note of his comments that he may not come, so, and he may send somebody else. So from the South African government, the US government is invited to the G20, and President Trump is invited, is welcome to the G20, but it's the US government's decision who they want to participate in the G20. If President Trump sends somebody else, is his decision. We will proceed with the G20 with or without President Trump, and with whoever that he will have delegated to come to the G20. And we will accept whoever that he delegates and who attends the G20 on behalf of the American people or on his behalf. And we think that will still make South Africa's G20 to move forward to adopt an outcome document. So at this stage, I believe no one can say with certainty whether President Trump will come or not. it's an unpredictable situation. So we will hear the final weight from the US as and when they decide. But whatever that they decide, the G20 will proceed. And we will work on all the leaders that will be present to find an outcome. Whether President Xi is coming at this stage, we don't have any information to the contrary. He is also invited. We believe he will come. There is no indication otherwise. Once that is communicated, we will advise. With regards to whether we are aware of other countries signing the NDA, it's the nature of an NDA. It's a non-disclosure agreement, so it's confidential. We have signed because we wanted to continue to engage with the process of the tariffs to reduce the 30% of the tariffs that have been imposed on South Africa. And still, again, it's also uncertain whether we will succeed or not, but we are putting our best efforts to succeed with regards to the reduction of the 30% tariffs. And this is not just a South African challenge. It's a challenge across the globe. Many countries, India, Brazil, Switzerland, many countries across the globe are uncertain like we are. So we will see from the outcomes at the time when there is a response whether we are succeeding or not. But we have to continue to engage, to put efforts, and also to continue with diversification of our markets, to look in the East and to other countries that remains open to trade with South Africa. With regards to whether in the negotiations the issue of the veterancies of the General of the Defense has been raised, no, not at this stage, but we have received a note verbal from the US with regards to the utterances. With regards to the International Court of Justice, I don't know if Zahiri will want to speak to that, or must I? Are you okay? Yeah, it is important that we continue to protect and promote the international rule of law. And this, it's a view we share with other member states of the United Nations. And that's why we now have what is called the Hague Group, with many countries that have joined to protect and vindicate the international rule of law. And that is the aim of the Hague Group, so that the member states of the UN and also countries respect the rulings of the ICJ. And I believe that it may take some time, but there will be implementation of the ICJ decisions, including of the International Criminal Court. You can dive and dive, but a moment will arrive where accountability will definitely happen. But I will not know with certainty when. But there is no one who can run away from the rule of law.
Okay, thank you very much, Minister. I know there are colleagues online who are complaining about the sound. I hope it's being addressed by the technical team. Oh, the congressional staffers. Yes, I will respond. Thank you, Minister. Yes, we will be hosting a delegation of 3 congressional staffers. We're not able as yet to reveal their names, but once we have consulted and the consultations are done, where necessary, we will provide an update, as we have been doing on meetings of this nature, through the various manners in which we provide updates. I've seen there's also a similar question on that nature. I think Karen Duplessis on our WhatsApp channel has asked that question, and so it's addressed. Nelson, let's take a round of questions from you, then we'll come back in the room.
All right, thank you, Crispin. One question is from Amanda Koza from News 24. Can the department tell us when the South African government will repatriate the remains of the late Zambian president Edgar Lungu? This is in light of the Constitutional Court ruling. That is one question. The other question is from Karin Duplessis. She says, I have a question about the visa applications confirmed by the Department of Home Affairs of a group of Kenyan employees from CWS to come and process refugees to the US in South Africa. Has DIRCO engaged with Kenya on this and with the US? And if so, what has been the outcome? And the other question from Kate from the NPR. Can you confirm reports that the US is trying to get visas for staff working for the Church World Service in Kenya to come to work to South Africa? It's a similar question to the one earlier. Then the other question, the third, last question in this round, from the BBC, Mayeni Jones. In March, President Ramaphosa visited the city of Joburg and he tasked officials to clean up and ahead of the summit, but the inner city is still in a dire state. Why has the area not been upgraded as promised?
I think are those the only questions? Let's take as well.
We should take all of them. Okay. The other question is from Peter Fabricius. He has two questions. The first is, were the two South African women who were rescued in Russia specifically rescued from Alabuga? How did they get there? And then the second question is, what is the BRICS Plus employment women's alliance? Does the South African government recognize it? Does it entail sending South African women workers to work at Alabuga in Russia?
Okay, those are the questions online. Maybe, how many are those? Maybe let's take two more from the room and then we'll give the minister an opportunity to respond. Let's start with this gentleman here and then SABC.
Thank you. Hello, Vital Mike from TAS News Agency. I have short two questions. First of all, you spoke about the African initiative towards the peace in Ukraine. President Ramaphosa spoke with leaders. Mr. Dangor with Kyiv. What on South Africa should be the next step in the peace process in Ukraine? And the next question related to the General Assembly in September in New York. Who will lead the delegations? And is still on the table the proposal to enter two African states as the permanent member of the Security Council? Could you update on this issue? Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Kylie Shekumalu here from SABC. Minister, just a quick one on the DRC. You said South Africa's return as the incoming chair reaffirms South Africa's role in terms of, just ensuring that we do see long-lasting peace in the eastern part of the DRC. Do you think that's going to be one of Pretoria's priorities come 2026? Because it's been a very long-standing issue. We've seen the talks in Qatar, we've seen M23 saying all sorts of things. But just a quick one as well, Minister, on the relocation of the Taiwan liaison office from Pretoria to Joburg. How far are we with that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We have noted the court outcome with regards to the reparations of the remains of the former Zambian President Edgar Lungu. And as the South African government, we continue to encourage both the Zambian government and the family of former President Lungu to be engaged in a dialogue that must reach an amicable solution with regards to the procession of the burial of the former Zambian president. And we have maintained this from the onset on the matter. We are hopeful that this ruling can signal some finality, that he will be buried back in Zambia in his home, and that the Zambian government and the family of former President Lungu will find each other on the procession and all the processes. So it has always been our message to both parties, to the family and to the Zambian government. With regards to the visa application for the Kenyan nationals who have applied to Home Affairs to come and assist with the program that is aimed to fast track Afrikaners on an immigration program of the US. It's an individual application by those individuals, and Home Affairs has processed it in accordance with its laws. And I believe they can be able to communicate as to the situation. As to whether the US government has engaged us on this matter or not, yes, they have through various interlocutors. And we have maintained that as a South African government, we don't agree that this is a refugee program, because there's no genocide in South Africa. And in line with the UN Convention, the Afrikaners that are going to the US do not fit the definition of refugee. We view this as a fast-tracking process of immigration by the US, and it is the right of any state to facilitate entry into their country and so forth. But in the context of South Africa, there is no refugee program that fits the definition of the UN Convention. So therefore, it cannot be defined as a refugee program. So for that matter, there is no obligation, no duty for the South African government to assist the US government with this refugee program. Because the refugee program, it's a preferential treatment of Afrikaners in South Africa to enter the US. And you know, with our history of our country, a preferential treatment of a particular privileged group, the Afrikaners who are not running away from any genocide in this country, is definitely apartheid 2.0. So we have got no duty, no obligation to help the US with this program. And we have communicated that to the US government. But the administrative process of processing the application is obviously handled by Home Affairs. The issue related to the inner city in Johannesburg, I will leave this to the city of Johannesburg, to the mayor, to update the nation how far is Johannesburg. But I think there is some visible work that is ongoing. We do receive reports in terms of the preparations for the Leaders Summit here in Johannesburg. The issue of the reform of the UN Security Council, yes, indeed, South Africa will continue to call for the reform of the UN Security Council in all platforms of the UN, including in any other multilateral platform that we believe will have an impact or influence to the reform of the Security Council. The delegations to the UN is usually led by the President of the Republic, and also, again, in this instance, it will be led by the President of the Republic to the UN Security Council. To the UN General Assembly. The issue of the relocation of the Taiwan liaison office, we have, from our side, we consider it done because we have gazetted its relocation to the city of Johannesburg as a commercial liaison office, and we have stated the reasons because our relations with Taiwan are at the commercial level and trade. And this is not just a South African phenomenon. In many capitals across the globe, Taiwan is in the commercial cities, not some South African exceptionalism. Even in Washington, they are not there. So it's not a South African phenomenon. It's a global phenomenon in line with UN protocols, the Vienna Convention. And with regards to the matter of whether we recognize this alliance of women, yeah, maybe Crispin, you can answer to that. I don't remember exactly the question, but it was with regards to alliance of women or something like that. Yeah, we can.
Thank you, Minister. With regards to the BRICS Alliance Women's Council, the Department of Women has been quite vocal on this, that this is a matter that they are also looking into. But most importantly here, colleagues, is that the South African government continues to encourage citizens who are looking for jobs abroad to verify this with our various missions in those countries to ensure that these jobs are legit. And we are continuously engaging with some of the foreign governments where there has been a number of South Africans who have been held in those countries under false pretenses. And this includes most recently in Myanmar, where through our Bangkok mission, we've been able to repatriate a number of citizens. We are also going to be engaging other governments as well, because this is a worldwide phenomenon that we have picked up. So most of our even security agencies are in the process of engaging various actors around these developments. And it's something that we are concerned about and are actively investigating as the South African government. With that said, can I take a new round of questions in the room? And I'll look for people who have not spoken. Start with you at the back there, my brother, then we'll come to you, and then we'll end with France. Oh, I didn't see you there. To the colleagues that I'm not mentioning by name, please introduce yourself so that we can have you on the record as well. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, Innocent from Channel Africa. Minister, maybe just to go back to my colleague Zolega's question, do you have any new information with regards to protecting South African exporters as these engagements are continuing? And can you comfortably confirm again that the engagements are difficult? And is there hope? Can we hope as a nation that we're making progress with these engagements? And also on the G20, is Nigeria and Egypt the only African countries that will host the G20 meetings? Thank you.
Is your hand flexing or okay? Just wait.
Okay, thank you so much. Francis Logamachate from Progressive Independent News Agency. My first question is on China is celebrating the 80th anniversary of the victory against the war of regression against Japan. So will South Africa be attending, and who will be leading the delegation to that celebration that will be taking place next week, Wednesday, in Beijing? And then in relation to the tariffs, how far is South Africa engaging on the BRICS bloc, particularly also on the issue of making sure that there's some diversification within BRICS in terms of trade agreements? Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Michael Mbewe from Channel Africa. I think the minister has covered partially the question about the burial of the impasse between the Zambian government and the Lungu's family. There are so many dynamics to it because we had the spokesperson of the family this morning on our show talking about trying to get their reaction to the Concord judgment yesterday. What he alluded is that because they're supposed to, after the High Court judgment, they're supposed to go to the CSA before they go to the Concord. So it seems as if maybe they will revert back to the High Court, according to his comments, and then they will also take the matter to the CSA. So what is South Africa's position on that? And then also the Lungus have been here. They're not only, it's not only themselves, but you have also some former ministers who served under Lungu's government who are also here in South Africa. One wonders in what status are they in the country because they've been here for quite some time. My second question is regarding the US's, deportees that are being, transferred to Africa. I know South Africa has raised a question regarding that, those that have been shipped to our neighboring Swaziland, Eswatini, sorry. And then also we've heard about Uganda also taking some of them, and also Rwanda. So just wanted to know what is South Africa's position on those developments. Thank you.
Okay, yes, it's you.
Oh, thank you. I'm Hawelo Magolego from UFM. My first question had been asked by somebody else, but I noted that the minister completely omitted it. And that is an update in terms of the peace talks between Ukraine and Russia as to ideally from a South African perspective, what would you prefer to see going forward? And also on that note, have the Russians shared their concern about what they believe to be the illegitimacy of President Zelensky to sign the deal? If yes, what is South Africa's attitude on it? And going back to the issue of General Mapanyo, the minister says utterances and you don't give any indication whether they were positive or negative. His boss has already said he did nothing wrong. Right-wing groups locally, they believe that he's actually jeopardizing the relationship you are trying to fix with the USA. So I'm asking for a comment whether the general misconducted himself in any way when he made those comments while in Iran, and what is the value of the relationship between South Africa and Iran? Because too often it's referred to as a friendship, and now that we are in this era of tariffs, you realize that we're actually doing more trade with the US or the West in general. So what is the value of these relationships we are having with not just Iran, but Russia as well and China? For the men of the street, what do we get as South Africans from those relationships over and beyond, struggle nostalgia? Thank you.
Okay. Maybe I'd just like to invite Ambassador Sokolo as well to come up if there are questions that he feels he needs to address. I know there are a couple of questions that our UN desk would want to also opine on. So I'd invite you to come as well, Mr. Zahir, Lahir. And then whilst you're coming up, the colleagues at the back will then proceed with their questions.
Minister Zolega again from Newsroom Africa. You mentioned on the Maponya question, General Maponya, sorry, you mentioned that there was a note verbal that was sent from the United States seeking clarity on South Africa's stance in relation to Iran. Have you responded to that? And if so, what clarity have you given in that regard? And can we just get more specifics in terms of the relations with the United States? The last time we understand that there was a revised offer sent to the United States in relation to the 30% tariffs. You say relations at the moment are, South Africa and the United States are on good terms. But can we get a status update on that? Has there been any response? Where are we?
All right, Minister Mulukumloto again from ENCA, and I know you did say that it's just a rumor. There's intentions by the Americans to remove us from the SWIFT payment network. But for those who are concerned, that particularly those in the private sector, I would assume, who are worried that they may be impacted, how do you allay their fears? What alternatives do we have, considering the fact that the Americans are clearly unpredictable? Or are you just waiting for them to hit us with that decision and then you take it from there? But in case they slap us with that decision, can we survive without that system? But what alternatives are there that we can consider?
Zahir, as you're coming up, I just want to address two easy questions, Minister, though. I address the easy questions. The countries that have been invited, the African countries that have been invited is Egypt, Nigeria, and Ethiopia and Algeria. Those are the countries. Zahir? Oh, and the subject is, and this.
There was a question related to that. This, of course, is a significant event in the diplomatic calendar, and specifically in the context of the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. And it provides an opportunity, of course, and our participation is significant in that it provides an opportunity for South Africa to assert the importance of collective action, for collective multilateral action to advance the unity of the countries of the world in addressing global challenges. We see the challenges that we have in terms of global conflict, in terms of mistrust, the fact that we've not been able to address key development challenges, etc. So this will be an opportunity for us to do that, but also an opportunity for us to reflect on the importance of strengthening the organization through what has been raised and what the minister reflected on, the importance of reforming the multilateral governance system to ensure that all of us have a stake in the decision making. And in that context, South Africa, of course, our position is based on that of the African Common Position, the Zuluwini Consensus, which is the approach we have on the importance of ensuring that Africa in particular, but all developing countries, have a stake in global decision making. So the global challenges we faced in terms of the conflicts, such as what we've seen over the last few months, including unilateral action, the conflicts that have occurred, the violations of international law, this provides us an opportunity for us to work together and ensure and reassert the importance of us working collectively to ensure the implementation of the UN Charter and in international law. Crispin, is there something specific that we perhaps have missed, Minister? In terms of no, maybe I missed it. Yes. So in terms of the way we approach the issue of immigration, the issue of having basically people come into our country, we are governed by our national laws, by our constitution, but also international law regulates the manner in which refugees, for example, the minister spoke about the issue of international refugee law. There are global norms and standards and conventions in which we abide by. So the entry of any individual into South Africa would be governed, as I said, by our national domestic laws, but also the international imperatives and international law that we've got to that we ascribe to and we've got to comply with.
Specifically around another country deporting its inmates to other countries.
Oh yeah, I mean, in terms of that, there's international immigration law, there's refugee law, but also we've got bilateral agreements. Perhaps I missed the specific question, but in terms of the yeah.
Of which our government has raised an alarm because they're neighbors. And we've seen also Rwanda same route, and then also Uganda. What does that mean for Africa? Because it's more like a dumping place for voting people elsewhere in the West, dumping the people in Africa. What is the agreements there? Is there any financial exchange? So we'll give you this so they look after these people. We've seen also in the past where UK wanted also to send some refugees to Rwanda.
So, look, firstly, these are bilateral agreements between the United States and specific countries. Of course, we will not touch on those particular arrangements that the US may have with these specific countries. But we are concerned in the manner in which individuals are sent across borders, particularly when there's violations of international law. Specifically when our own safety and security is threatened. And I think there has to be this mutual respect for international law and mutual respect for the safety and security of member states within the United Nations and within the global framework.
Because one wonders why a person who is a South African is in US is being deported to Pacific. Why not back to South Africa? So that's the question there. Why is allowing this to
Yep. So there are various extradition agreements that are signed between countries, and of course these need to be respected. But in this context, as I said, these are bilateral agreements between the US and these particular countries. But in as far as it affects South Africa and South Africa's sovereignty and South Africa's safety, those are the concerns that we would raise in the context of international law. But when there are specific bilateral agreements between states, that's for them to address bilaterally. But our concern would, of course, be in the context of our own territorial integrity, our own sovereignty, and our own security.
Ambassador Siokolo.
Thanks, Minister. Thanks, Crispin, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I will only address one question, which pertains to SADC, South Africa's election as deputy chair of SADC, and ultimate election as chair of SADC for 2026-2027. And of course, you know that Africa is the centerpiece of our foreign policy. And in that context, the promotion of peace and security remains one of our key priorities. Here in the region of SADC, we're looking at three issues. One is fostering that political cohesion so that as a region we speak with one voice, continentally and globally. Secondly, we also promote peace and security. Our region has been a relatively a zone of peace, except in one or two areas, which we remain seized with. And thirdly, we also look at regional economic integration to ensure that the ultimate vision of SADC 2050 is attained through tools and platforms such as the Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan 2030, which is a development plan for the region. So Cabinet will develop the priorities, but there's already a foundation that we have to carry on. And one of those foundations are existing programs of SADC, as I said, regional integration. Looking at cross-border infrastructure projects, and very much if you look at our agenda for 20G20, we will also seek, hopefully Cabinet will seek to see those programs and legacy projects being implemented in our region. But you asked a question specifically about peace and security. We will remain seized as the minister said, South Africa will not tire until our brothers and sisters in the Democratic Republic of Congo live with peace and have attained peace in the same way as the challenges that I experience in the northern region of Mozambique. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. With regards to the issue of the providing some support to our exporters who are impacted by the tariffs. As you are aware, DTIC has got a hotline, which on a day-to-day basis, they do provide the support on a case-by-case basis to those, and you know the measures they have announced in terms of what support they provide. With regards to the African countries that will host some of the G20 meetings, yes, at this stage it's only Nigeria and Egypt that have offered to host these two meetings that I have announced. With regards to the celebratory victory in China, we will communicate once we receive the note verbal as to whether South Africa will participate or not and at which level. We usually participate in a number of celebratory activities in China. So we continuously assess and so forth. So when we do receive, we'll definitely respond. With regards to the BRICS bloc engagement in relations to trade, yes, there is ongoing engagements amongst the BRICS members, individually and as a bloc, to continuously increase trade amongst each other. And as we speak now, our Minister of Trade and Industry, Parks, is in India, continuing in that trajectory to increase trade amongst BRICS members. And we will further expand with others in that regard. With regards to the Lungu family, from what you have said, that you had an interview with their lawyer about the next, or their spokesperson with regards to their next processes. We obviously respect the court process as the South African government, and we usually allow it to take the life of its own. But we have impressed on the two, the Zambian government and the Lungu family, that while there are these court processes, even before there was a court process, we said that it's important that they find each other. They must engage, find each other in terms of the procession and how it must be conducted. And we have stated that our wish is that it must be done in Zambia, that he must be buried in Zambia. And we believe that the Zambian government and the Lungu family can find each other in terms of how the funeral procession can be handled. Even now with the courts, as we have said, we continuously have said it to them that the best and long-lasting solution will be an out-of-court settlement of the process between the two, the Zambian government and the Lungu family. But it doesn't look like they have been able to find each other up to so far. But we will never get tired up until there is a solution between the two, and we continue to embrace every opportunity we get to engage with them. We raise the issue that while they are busy vindicating their rights and the processes in the courts, they must continue to engage to find a long-lasting solution that both parties will have to compromise on and find each other. But the end, it will still depend on them. And even if the matter ends up being decided by the court, the Zambian government and the Lungu family will still have to engage in terms of the proceedings. So there is space and ground for them to engage. So they need to keep that line of engagement open. And we have always said that we will not get tired until that solution is found. Even if it goes for whatever period, we will continue to encourage them to engage each other, to find each other, and to agree on how they are going to bury the former president of Zambia in Zambia and how they will handle that process. With regards to the question of Ukraine, what do we see as a final outcome? The final outcome is that there must be long-lasting peace. the reality is that the difficulty is the road towards peace. It's not an easy one. The parties have to engage each other. And South Africa from the beginning said that the parties need to come to the table. They must engage each other in line with the UN Charter principles, find a long-lasting solution to this matter. We are glad that even the US now has seen that the way to resolve the matter is that both parties must be brought to the table to engage, to find each other in terms of the roadmap that has been put, and they reach some form of agreement. Obviously, there will have to be some give and take and compromises from all sides. That is the reality in a conflict. But we continue to, even our engagement with the matter is to continue to encourage the parties to a dialogue to find a long-lasting solution to this matter. So that is the context in which we continue to participate. And we have always said that South Africa always believe in a dialogue when there are issues of this nature. With regards to the general, as I have already said, that indeed we have received the note verbal, and we will definitely be able to respond. So that's why I will not state it now. What are the issues? But I can state that we have noted the statements issued from defense, that the general says those comments attributed to him, he did not say such. He did not say such. So we will respond to that not verbal with regards to the US. With regards to what is the nature of South Africa's relationship with Iran. Yes, we do have a bilateral relation with Iran in terms of bilateral engagement, but there is no significant trade at this stage between the two countries. With regards to Russia, yes, we also do have a bilateral relation with Russia, and the trade is not that significant too. And we are working on improving that trade relations and to increase on the current level of trade. You'll remember I was in Russia not long ago on economic cooperation and trade to take stock of the various bilateral agreements, and we are working on improving in that regard. With regards to be more specific with regards to the US relations, I have said that I always hear you say good relations. I've said that there is ongoing engagement between the two that is happening through various interlocutors and various platforms, congressmen, Congress staff, the State Department, the TCR, through trade and industry. That is ongoing. So as to whether we will end up with a deal or not, I don't know. And I've said that this is not only South Africa's situation, it's the unpredictability of the current administration in the US. We are not alone who are uncertain as to what will be the outcome. And I said India, Switzerland is in the same situation, Brazil, and I believe many other countries. So we don't know what will be the outcome of the engagement. But what we will do is to do our best to continue to engage with the hope that the positive outcome we will end up with some form of a positive outcome in this regard. So it is unpredictable, it's uncertain, not only for South Africa, for everyone. So South Africa will continue to engage with this process up until there's a response with regards to the 30% of tariffs that has been imposed on us. With regards to the SWIFT and also generally the relations. As I've said, that it is speculation. What I've read in the media, as what is alleged could be the possible outcome of those investigations and processes. But on our side, there is nothing formal, not verbal or anything formally that has said we will switch you off the SWIFT system. Whether we have alternatives or not, I think you guys do have a chance from time to time to engage with the Minister of Finance and the Governor of the Reserve Bank. They will be the experts to respond to that, whether there are alternatives in case this hypothetical or speculation does arise. They are the ones who will be best placed to respond whether there is an alternative system that South Africa can use to continue with the transfer and payments and all that. So the Minister of Finance, I will also engage him to ask him so that he can answer your question, Mloto, at some point. And also with regards to the tariffs, as I've said, it's an uncertain situation. What we do want to say, as you have asked, what do we say to the people of South Africa, is that we have to prepare ourselves for any eventuality. An eventuality where there could be an agreement to reduce the tariffs, and an eventuality where there will be no change to the current tariffs that we have, the 30%, to live with them. So these are the consequences that we have to prepare ourselves to live with, to cope, and to build our own resilience as a country. It can be seen as a situation of difficulty, which it is, but it can also be an opportunity for us to build our own self-sustainability in the various sectors of our economy. It can also be an opportunity for us to build our own internal capabilities to be able to build some of the industries that we may need to be able to build. Some of the industries we have today and the big manufacturing companies were built under sanction when South Africa was sanctioned across the globe. It was not a good thing for South Africa to have apartheid and so forth, but it's a reality that some of the industries we have today were built during those difficult times of sanctions. So as a country, we do have to start preparing ourselves for any eventuality in case there is no solution to the 30% tariffs that have been imposed on us. So as a nation, that is it's a pain we'll have to take and build from it so that we are able to build a resilient society and a nation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Minister. Colleagues, all of those on the online platform as well. I have noted that there are some questions that we have not been able to get to. We will respond to those in writing. We will ensure that the team follows up on those. And just, Minister, to underscore how we've described our relationship with the US in our statement, Zolega, it's robust and cordial. Thank you very much. That concludes our press statement.
إخراجهم أفتؤمنون ببعض الكتاب وتكفرون ببعض فما جزاء من يفعل ذلك منكم إلا خزي في الحياة الدنيا ويوم القيامة يردون إلى أشد العذاب وما الله بغافل عما تعملون أولئك الذين اشتروا الحياة الدنيا بالآخرة فلا يخفف عنهم العذاب ولا هم ينصرون. ولقد آتينا موسى الكتاب وقفينا من بعده بالرسل وآتينا عيسى ابن مريم البينات وأيدناه بروح القدس أفكلما جاءكم رسول بما لا تهوى أنفسكم استكبرتم ففريقا كذبتم وفريقا تقتلون وقالوا قلوبنا غلف بل لعنهم الله بكفرهم فقليلا ما يؤمنون. ولما جاءهم كتاب من عند الله مصدق لما معهم وكانوا من قبل يستفتحون على الذين كفروا فلما جاءهم ما عرفوا كفروا به فلعنة الله على الكافرين. بئس ما اشتروا به أنفسهم أن يكفروا بما أنزل الله بغيا أن ينزل الله من فضله على من يشاء من عباده فباءوا بغضب على غضب وللكافرين عذاب مهين. وإذا قيل لهم آمنوا بما أنزل الله قالوا نؤمن بما أنزل علينا ويكفرون بما وراءه وهو الحق مصدقا لما معهم. قل فلم تقتلون أنبياء الله من قبل إن كنتم مؤمنين. ولقد جاءكم موسى بالبينات ثم اتخذتم العجل من بعده وأنتم ظالمون. وإذ أخذنا ميثاقكم ورفعنا فوقكم الطور خذوا ما آتيناكم بقوة واسمعوا قالوا سمعنا وعصينا وأشربوا في قلوبهم العجل بكفرهم قل بئس ما يأمركم به إيمانكم إن كنتم مؤمنين. قل إن كانت لكم الدار الآخرة عند الله خالصة من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولن يتمنوه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين. ولتجدنهم أحرص الناس على حياة ومن الذين أشركوا يود أحدهم لو يعمر 1000 سنة وما هو بمزحزحه من العذاب أن يعمر والله بصير بما يعملون. قل من كان عدوا لجبريل فإنه نزله على قلبك بإذن الله مصدقا لما بين يديه وهدى وبشرى للمؤمنين. من كان عدوا لله وملائكته ورسله وجبريل وميكال فإن الله عدو للكافرين. ولقد أنزلنا إليك آيات بينات وما يكفر بها إلا الفاسقون أوكلما عاهدوا عهدا نبذه فريق منهم بل أكثرهم لا يؤمنون ولما جاءهم رسول من عند الله مصدق لما معهم نبذ فريق من الذين أوتوا الكتاب كتاب الله وراء ظهورهم كأنهم لا يعلمون واتبعوا ما تتلو الشياطين على ملك سليمان وما كفر سليمان ولكن الشياطين كفروا يعلمون الناس السحر وما أنزل على
The fridge made for gazing. LG InstaView. Knock twice, see inside.
إلا بإذن الله ويتعلمون ما يضرهم ولا ينفعهم ولقد علموا لمن اشتراه ما له في الآخرة من خلاق ولبئس ما شروا به أنفسهم لو كانوا يعلمون ولو أنهم آمنوا واتقوا لمثوبة من عند الله خير لو كانوا يعلمون يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقولوا راعنا وقولوا انظرنا واسمعوا وللكافرين عذاب أليم ما يود الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب ولا المشركين أن ينزل عليكم من خير من ربكم والله يختص برحمته من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسها نأت بخير منها أو مثلها ألم تعلم أن الله على